All right, now many businesses have been affected by the measures introduced by the government so far. Of course, there's now speculation of further clampdowns. What impact will they have, and how does one balance public health with keeping one's head above water, at least financially? Ayabonga Cawe is Newzroom Africa's economic contributor. He joins us via Skype this evening. Aya, good evening. Firstly, we've been hearing the stories, especially of small businesses and how many of them are going under as a result of just the way in which business has come to a complete standstill. What interventions are needed to assist them?
Good evening to you, Cathy, and good evening to the viewers of Newzroom Africa. I guess it's quite clear, even from the clip that you just played, that many people are set to be affected, not only in formal sector value chains, but even in the informal sector as well, from the limitations in movement and the restrictions in mobility that are associated with our current national state of disaster. If we consider the 128 or so cases that we've had announced overnight, the increase in 128 cases announced overnight, then that might necessitate, if it does continue on that same trend, if we can't flatten the curve, a national state of emergency. And that's going to have a catastrophic impact. If you think of how empty the restaurants are at this point in time and how much of what is happening in retail trade has been certainly circumvented by the impact of this COVID-19, then it's quite clear that we're set for a much broader economic disaster than what we might have forecast in a gloomy scenario at the start of this year.
We've been hearing a lot of talk around the economy and the extent to which the President's next announcements will include just some pronouncements on what this means then going forward and the kind of stimulus that government can provide. When you think of it, what would need to be in there to not just sustain people over the next couple of months? We don't know how long this is going to last, but most importantly, see them through even after this virus has been contained.
Cathy, we've already started to see, I guess, some clues about what a coordinated package responding to COVID-19 might look like. You would have heard the Minister of Small Business Development last week announcing a resilience facility and a debt relief program for small and medium-sized enterprises. We've also seen special procurement mooted in order to secure some of the supplies that we need of sanitizers, face masks, and even gloves. So it's quite clear that some of that is coming from the government, but also you would have heard some of the remarks being made by many financial services players who are considering these issues, and we certainly hope that once they get the green light from the authorities, Minister Patel and the Competition Commission, that they'll be able to put their heads together and come up with a coordinated response from an industry perspective that might include some form of relief when it comes to obligations to banks. It might be your mortgage, it might be a personal loan repayment, it might even be the installment on your car. And we've already started to see on the part of Standard Bank over the last day or so announcing 4 entities, and Nedbank joined the same for small and medium-sized enterprises with turnover less than 20 million rand. Some relief there. So we might see that kind of relief. But I guess the bigger question is also in relation to smaller enterprises that might not be able to put into place some of the safety precautions, and who might not be able to respond on the more clinical and medical side of things in ensuring that their workplaces don't contribute to the infection numbers that we've already started to see.
All right, and we're certainly hoping that there will be some announcements, especially where the informal sector is concerned, because many of those, of course, aren't necessarily recognized by institutions such as bank, and so even the kind of lending that they have access to is limited. So what happens during this crisis for those who wake up every day just to put food on the table for their families? What is going to be done to assist them? Ayabonga Cawe, he is our contributor, economic contributor here on Newzroom Africa.